Hi, everyone.
Hey guys, thanks for being here tonight. I know it's not like the usual crazy excitement of a live Q&A, but we have Jacob here tonight.
Thanks
He's
for joining us, Jacob.
moderating and trying to keep everybody in check. Oscar's here, and we got other things happening
Yes.
later during this live Q&A. But this one, a little bit of a different note with the passing of my father.
Yeah.
His name was Salvatore Raiti. And he is the man that's responsible for igniting the passion, the car passion in me. I thought it'd be kind of nice to dedicate and kind of give a tribute to him with this live Q&A. And yeah, we're going to answer your questions and, get to the comments and all that. But I just wanted to give you a little bit more in-depth about.
Well, I think a lot of people have been asking, why haven't you been at this event? Or, hey, Joe, are you going to be here? And we've been having to tell people no.
Yeah.
And it's kind of.
So if you notice, we haven't been able to have some of the latest and greatest news for you. We're still bringing you videos. We're still doing what we do here on Raiti's Rides. It's just for right now, we haven't been able to travel much with the passing of my father. And it came at a time where, there were some pretty big events that were happening, but I was raised in an Italian family, and what you have to do is you have to look out for family first.
Yeah, well, and you have a big family too. You're
the oldest. I'm the oldest of 6 kids, and I had to kind of take the lead in helping everybody try to get through this process, and also my mom and whatnot as well. I don't know if you'll notice one nice little shining moment is we have a new member of the Raiti's family here, but also the Raiti's Rides family. We got Frankie. So we have Oscar and Frankie. We just rescued Frankie about a week and a half ago.
From Pinellas Animal Services.
Pinellas Animal Services. He was a stray that they picked up.
Yeah. And we thought it was be a good time to rescue a dog, because our hearts are hurting. So why not help a dog in need? So
and Frankie has been
Frankie and Oscar are getting along great.
They're getting along great. Oscar's been a very good big brother.
Yes.
And I'll be honest, it definitely has helped me through this whole process. It was one of those things that both of my grandparents passed away. My grandpa on my dad's side passed away before I was born. And my grandfather my grandpa Dominic, he wound up dying when I was 5.
I always thought it was really cool, your dad's story. He actually came to the United States when he was only 6 years old.
Yeah. My father came. Yeah, my father, which is obviously my and his father, which is my grandfather, actually came through Ellis Island back in the 1940s after World War II was over.
Yeah. We were able to find the ship that they were on.
Yeah.
And they came over together.
It was really neat. It was really neat to
didn't speak any English.
No.
Had a tough time.
From
there was
Sicily.
a lot of racism, a lot of challenges that they faced.
Yeah. So it was my dad and my aunt, the two of them with my grandpa and my grandma really had a struggle there. But they made the American dream happen.
They did. And I always love the stories that you tell about the trouble that you and your dad used to get into too.
Yeah, it's my dad.
I don't know how your mom put up with it.
My dad many times would be like, "Don't tell your mother, Joseph. Don't tell your mother." Whenever we were doing something, but it goes all the way back to when I was born, literally, because I feel like I was born with a wrench in one hand and a ratchet and socket in the other. And
your dad would take you to the shop with him on the weekends.
Well, first, in Brooklyn, when I was about 5, 6 years old, we would go for rides, and my dad had a 1969 Shelby GT350. I'm sure many of you remember when I got my Shelby GT350. That's why it was such an important car,
right?
Was because my dad had a Shelby GT350,
right.
And I do feel very grateful that he was still alive.
Oh, that was such a special moment.
Yeah,
when you were able
I was able to go pick him up and take him for a ride. He knew I was getting the car, but I totally surprised him on a Saturday because we would always go out in his Shelby GT350 on Saturday. So I picked him up at his house and took him for a ride in my Shelby GT350. So that was a very, very special moment. But yeah, going in Brooklyn, my dad didn't keep the Shelby at where he was living. Basically, my mom and dad rented an apartment above where my grandmother lived.
Okay.
Because my grandmother owned the building.
Okay. And this was in Bensonhurst?
This was in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And
back in the 70s, which
back in the 70s,
really
very
awesome.
Interesting time.
Yeah.
He would keep the Shelby in a separate garage.
Of course.
That we would have to go to and then go take it out and go for a spin in it and whatnot. But those were the early beginnings of shaping me and forming me into the car person.
What I also remember you saying, once you guys moved down to Florida, he would take you to Sebring and Daytona, and he would make you cover your eyes with your hands and then tell you which car was going by just by the sound of it.
So basically what happened was when we moved to Florida, it was 1983. And the first race that my dad ever took me to was the 1983 12 Hours of Sebring.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where I got so up and close to Porsches and Ferraris and Corvettes.
How old were you? Like 7, 8, 9?
Yeah, I was like around 7 years old. And what was funny was my dad would tell me to close my eyes and tell him what car was going by based off the sound of the engine. Because back then, you know, you had V8, you had V12s, you had flat 12s, rotary powered cars.
Well, and to this day, you have this impeccable ear. I don't know how, like, we'll be watching some obscure movie. We've been on an old movie kick since Joe's dad got ill. And you can pick out the sound of a car that, like, from an old movie. I don't know how you do it. So I attribute your father to that
or especially in the movies when they put the wrong sound.
Oh yeah.
With the car.
Yeah.
That's where they really
Or
get.
how about, I also like, you know, your dad refused to let you have a motorcycle. Said you can't have.
This is a funny story. So my dad in Brooklyn always had a motorcycle. And when I was 5 years old, he bought me a Suzuki JR50, which I still have to this day. And he put training wheels on it because back then they didn't have special wheels back then to put on the dirt bike to keep it upright. He would start it for me. And then I would go down the sidewalk in front of his shop in Brooklyn, bouncing back and forth on the training wheels.
We have a picture of that.
Yes, actually. There are pictures. There are pictures. And it's funny because growing up, once we moved to Florida, my dad never rode here in Florida.
Okay.
Never rode a motorcycle.
Did he say why?
He said it was too dangerous. You know, a different crowd here in Florida compared to, even though New York is very busy. Sure. And as you know, many people don't have time to get in an accident.
That's true.
You know, so he never rode down here. And growing up, being a teenager, I wanted a sport bike so bad. I wanted a Suzuki GSXR 750 so bad. And he was like, hell no.
Right.
This is my house.
Not under my roof.
Yeah, not under my roof.
Right.
So what happened was when I finally got my teaching gig started in my teaching career and I had my first place, I said, well, I'm going to go buy a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell him because I was actually still afraid. And for like a couple months, I did not go over to his house with the motorcycle because I was afraid he was going to yell at me, even though I wasn't even living under his roof anymore.
No, I believe it. Your dad was
Sicilian. Sicilian.
Very loud.
Yeah, Mount Vesuvius.
You think Joe's loud? You should have met his dad.
Thank you, Anthony, for the super chat. And if you guys do have specific questions or comments, obviously the super chat feature is there, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions.
Oscar's actually going to be taking
he's going to be answering the question. So Anthony Baez says, Raity's Rides. Today I rented a Toyota RAV4 Hybrid and XLE. I learned Toyota RAV4 Hybrid XLE. What's your opinion on this car? The hybrid RAV4 is probably one of the best SUVs out there, compact SUVs.
Completely agree.
Yes, the new one is coming, but for
you can't go wrong with
the versatility and the fuel economy, Anthony, you are so right on liking the RAV4 Hybrid because it is a really, really very fuel efficient, versatile SUV. But going back to my story, thank you, Anthony, for the super chat.
Thank you so much, Anthony.
Going back to my story, what happened is that I went and bought the motorcycle. I decided one day to ride it over to his house. And my parents came outside And I thought they were going to yell at me.
And they didn't?
They didn't.
I was
My dad
expecting them to
was,
yell at
my dad had a big smile on his face. And you know what he said to me? He goes, "Hey, Joe." Actually, he used to call. So not many people call me in my family, call me Joe. It's either Joseph. My father would call me Joey a lot, or Giuseppe, but not Joe. Just like you call me Joseph, you don't call me Joe.
What do your brothers call
Brothers
Joe?
call me Joe.
Yeah.
My sisters call me Joseph.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So he's like, "Hey, Joey, do you think I could take you for a ride around the block?" I said, "Sure, go ahead." Would you believe in less than 2 weeks, my father went out and bought a motorcycle? And what's really special about this little story is him and I got to ride together. And we had some crazy riding journeys. We actually would ride each year, not trailer the bikes, ride them across the state.
How many hours?
Well, we would take the longer route because we wouldn't go I-4 and just go from Tampa to Daytona. We actually took the curvy road route,
so
the twisty bit route, 3 hours, three and a half hours. Yeah. Because it wasn't as congested.
Oh,
back
true.
then.
That makes sense. And I'm sure you were probably going a little fast.
Yeah, a little fast. But we used to go to Bike Week and ride our motorcycles every single year. And that was just something that I never thought in a million years that I would be riding with my dad. And that's something that I will always remember.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah, very, very special.
I certainly wish I could have heard the
things
you guys were talking about. I can only imagine.
There was even one time where my younger brother, the youngest kid in my family, Christopher, actually rode on the back of his motorcycle with us.
That sounds painful.
Yeah, they were troopers.
Yeah.
And you know, my dad was a total badass. He refused to wear a full face helmet because he was a Harley guy.
Oh yeah.
I was on my sport bikes. He was on his Harley. And and by the way, my first bike, it actually wound up not even being a Suzuki. I got a Honda CBR 600 F4i.
Was that the black one?
No, that was the red and black one.
Okay.
My black one came a few years later. That was my RC51, and that was my favorite motorcycle that I ever rode.
Yeah,
favorite one.
I remember that one. You did
love that bike. But he refused to wear regular gloves.
Well, speaking of your dad being a little reckless, I remember actually let's
wait. We got another super chat, Anthony again.
Thank you.
What
Anthony.
Is the sound of the Tacoma RAV4 hybrid make when I put it? So the sound is there to alert people that you're backing up because of it being a hybrid.
Right.
And basically, it's just an auditory note that is played through the car.
It's just kind of like a high,
type of thing. Where it's like almost like a
whirling.
It's a whirling.
You can. We have a neighbor that has one, and I can hear them coming.
So that it's there so you don't back over anybody.
Right. But I love how we always talk. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony.
And any questions you have?
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, we're going to try to go through questions.
Some fun stories.
I really wanted to make this a tribute to my dad.
And then answer
I know there's a lot of things to talk about, and if there's anything, like I said, specifically you want to
you don't have to super chat if you don't want to. We're going to check the chat and everything. But we always tease your dad a little bit when he was alive, and you and I just laugh about it. How we were surprised, honestly, that your dad lived as long as he did because of some of this stuff.
So my father, I can't. Even though it's very sad, and even though it's a terrible thing, right? When anybody passes away,
of course.
My dad was 84 years old.
Right.
We would joke, you, me, and him would always joke with him about how did he make it that long?
I know.
I didn't think my dad honestly was going to make it to 84. I remember as a kid seeing my dad at his mechanic shop siphon gasoline out of fuel tanks and cars with his mouth and clean his hands off at the end of the day with brake cleaner. And then you think about all the exhaust fumes, all of that.
Oh my God, and how he was around it all the time. It was a different time. We got a couple super chats. Thank you so much, Ben. R.I.P. to your pops.
Yes.
He lost his a decade ago. It gets easier, but you never move on. Keep going on throttle for him.
Thank you. Thanks, you, Ben. Thank you for that advice. And another thing is this, it's been very helpful to be able to still share the car reviews with you guys, to share my car passion with you guys, because it helps keep my mind out of the darkness.
Yeah.
it pulls me more into the light.
That's true.
To where I'm not down in the dumps.
Well, it's like you want to feel that sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
You want to feel that sense of.
Well, my dad was very. I mean, I can honestly say he told me he was proud of me for.
He was so proud.
Especially what we did with
so
Raiti's rides.
In his eyes. He
yeah,
was so proud.
So it's one of those things that it helps me move through the pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think that's good.
yes,
it's good that you have such an amazing job.
Well, we have an amazing family.
Well, it's like
Raiti's Rides family is so supportive.
So supportive.
Thank you all for your condolences that you posted in the community page on YouTube and also on Facebook. Yeah,
it really helps to know that you're not alone.
Yeah, we got another super chat from 18 pack.
Now this is a cool
I sent my wife a video y'all did on a Ford Bronco Sport Area 51, and it convinced her to go. That's awesome.
Nice.
She's
gonna love it.
I feel like well, your Bronco is the Bronco Sport, but the
Bronco Sport's great.
It's still a lot of people don't give it enough credit, and I think a lot of it has to do with because of the name.
Yeah,
because it has the name Bronco, even though it's called Bronco Sport, a lot of people just look past it. It's a very versatile SUV, and it's got a lot of good features. So
cool
yes, so thank you for sharing that. Thank you for the super chat, and congrats to you and your wife. Happy wife, happy life.
That's right.
Tesla 54, thank you for the super chat. He says, hello, Joe and Lori. First, my condolences. Next, thinking about leasing a Model 3 Performance. Your thoughts? Moving north, so I will have to drive in snow. From what people that I know that own one, they love them. I mean, the girl that cuts my hair, she just got one. It's her second one. She loves it. So I think that if you've had one and you're moving up to this, then you're automatically going to love it. I mean, they're very popular, and you could get the dual motor and have your all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So thank you, Tesla 54. I appreciate that. Troy with a super chat. Thank you, Troy. Joe, will you be reviewing the new Audi S5? Yes, we will be getting the S5 soon and the new Q3.
Great.
So stay tuned. Coming. Thank you for your super chat. I love driving Audis. That's for sure.
I know.
Phil, thank you for your generous super chat, Phil. Thank you, everybody, for your super chat. And thank you all for being here. We got 265 people here.
To have
265 people.
That is a lot.
So, Phil, thank you for that generosity. So sorry for your loss, Joe. I feel your pain. I lost my dad at 58. What was your dad's favorite car other than the GT350? What's funny is if we're looking at recent memory, modern era, he fell in love with the C8 Stingray when I first got a C8 Stingray as a press fleet vehicle.
Like way back.
I brought it over back in during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I brought it over to his house. He fell in love with it.
He did.
But he loved anything with a good old V8.
How surprised was he when you brought your C4 Corvette?
That was cool. So if you look,
he had one as well.
Yes. So what's interesting is that if you look at the picture that I used to post in the thumbnail and that I post today, you'll see my C4 that I bought. Well, guess what? Yeah, I bought that because I used to have one. But my dad also had the same year C4 before me. I was 14 when he bought it. So obviously I wasn't driving yet. But I remember he used to, when my mom wasn't home, let me take it around the neighborhood with him in it. Yes, he did.
You never told me that.
Oh, here we are.
There's a lot of stories I don't know.
So many stories.
Probably for the best.
Yes, it's probably for the best. But thank you, Phil. He loved anything with a V8. He really loved the C8 Corvette. He really did.
Yes. Oh, and thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom, for the super chat. He said there's the little pear guy.
That little pear guy.
And if you have a specific question, Tom, put it in the comments. And I'm sure Jacob, which we have to thank Jacob again for being here as the moderator, will dig it up.
Yeah.
John Williams, thank you for the super chat. You want to read that one?
Yes. Let's see here. John Williams. Let me click the heart first.
Click the heart.
Joe, I have to know what your dad and your family thought of you leaving your teaching job to do YouTube full time. Any pushback from anybody?
Actually, I can honestly say that they were very supportive, and I think part of it is they really didn't understand it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't think they fully understood the risk I was taking to do it.
Your brothers did.
My brothers did. Yeah, they were very. They were shocked. Nobody told me not to do it.
No, but they were surprised.
But they were surprised. But my parents, my here, put it this way. My mother, who's still alive, she's 74. She has no cell phone, never has had a cell phone,
which I still don't
doesn't have
understand.
an email account, doesn't use the internet. So if that puts it into perspective, how oblivious at least my mom was. My father actually had a cell phone. He was the one with the cell phone.
I know.
But my mom, who has 6 kids and a gaggle of grandkids who should have a cell phone, she refuses.
No.
She refuses.
She doesn't get on the internet.
Landline. She's got
amazing.
landline.
I don't know how she does it. I did see that Tom 45794 Jacob caught his
Thank you,
comment.
Jacob, for catching that.
So he said, "Condolences, love your videos. I'm from St. Pete, and watching your videos always brings me back home. Keep up the
That's
good work."
awesome. I'm really glad that we could bring that hometown flavor. And that's something a lot of people have always asked, hey, are you going to move to California? Are you going to move here? No. We still love it here.
Oh, his whole family
and and we love bringing the flavor, especially for those who either live here or once live here. But thank you, Tom, for that. And thank you, John.
And then we've got Tim's Vibe. That's another super chat. And then we do have some more.
Yes, we're going to get in there. Yes,
we're going to get in there,
of
guys.
course.
What's your advice on run flat tires on an SUV or C8 Corvette? And this is Tim Devine.
Tim, thank you for your support. You're such a great member of the Raity's Rides family. I feel like on a SUV, fine. On any kind of sports car, no. I know that cars don't come with spares anymore, but I don't really think for a performance standpoint that a run flat tire is going to be your best choice.
No,
that's just me.
No.
None of my cars have run flat tires, and I don't plan on putting any on. So I practice what I'm preaching.
And is it any specific reason as to
they're just not? They're not as high performance.
No, you're right. No, you're right. That makes sense.
Yes,
but
thank
SUV,
you. SUV, fine. Why not? Yeah.
Thanks again, Tim. And then Mark G. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you for your generosity. Thank you, everybody, for your generosity. And thank you, everybody, for your generosity. Yeah, your generosity of time.
Yeah.
276 people here.
My condolences, Joe. This is from Mark. My father, who also grew up in Brooklyn, passed away in 2017. Many of my best memories are car related. He was a 260Z, 280Z, and a 280ZX cool dad. Wino, New York's accent. So it's funny that you say that, Mark. I feel like he has a little bit of an accent.
It does pop up from time to time. I've been living in Florida since I was 7. So unfortunately, or fortunately,
I hear it, especially when he gets around.
There are people in certain videos. Yeah, when I'm around my family, that's when it really comes out. But thank you, Mark. I really appreciate it. My condolences to you as well.
And then we've got a super chat from Nicholas is next.
Yes, Nicholas.
And then
very generous. People are so generous.
I'm so sorry for your loss, Joe. What's the greatest lesson you learned from your dad that you hated when you first talked to him, but as you got older, you finally understood the lesson? And was there ever a car that you liked that he didn't?
Well, let me answer the second one. There were plenty of cars I think that I liked that he didn't fully understand.
Of course.
Especially in the 90s, like the Japanese cars, he wasn't really into Supras. He really wasn't into Nissan Zs. He could appreciate them, but he was more American iron V8 type of thing. Yeah, the Corvettes, the Mustangs, the Camaros, the muscle cars, right? Yeah. One of my dad's first cars was a Pontiac Grand Prix back in 1965. Wow. Nice. Yeah. So that's basically where sometimes we didn't have the same appreciation for certain cars. I would think probably that's a great question. The greatest lesson, I would probably have to say the greatest lesson that he taught me was to always work. You gotta work hard. And here it is. I got it.
Okay.
Don't half-ass anything. Even though it might be a quicker way, it's not going to get the same result that he wanted.
No, I can see
And
that.
I remember as a kid growing up, let me put it in perspective for you, especially all the younger people in the Raiti's Rides family. There were no small cars. There were no SUVs. My mom had a 9-passenger station wagon. It was ginormous. I would wash it. He would make me wash that car every week because it was all about taking care of what you owned. Mm-hmm. No matter if it was a piece of crap, you take care of your car. Mm-hmm. And what he would do is once I got done washing it, he would go around with his finger and rub his finger around certain parts. And if there was any dirt that came up on his finger, he'd make me rewash it.
Wow.
And that's when I used to have to take steel wool pads to clean the white walls on the tires. And my fingers would, but I appreciate it now because everybody works so hard for what we have. You need to take care of it. And you shouldn't be half-assing anything, because if you do, it doesn't turn out right.
Well, you always say the cheap comes out expensive.
Yes.
That's
another one. Another thing that he used to do. So my father had a Snap-on toolbox, one of the big Snap-on boxes that he had at his mechanic shop with all of his Snap-on tools.
Right.
And that was something that thankfully he left to me, and he still had it and is now in my garage. That's nice. Very important. Nice. Yeah. That Snap-on toolbox, very important.
Well, it means a lot.
It means so much to me. And there's a lot of different reasons why. But he was all about, if you take something out of the toolbox, you better put it back exactly the way you found it, and the tool better be cleaned off. No grease on it, no oil, none of that.
That's good.
And if I didn't do it, you know what he would do to me?
What?
And it happened quite a few times. He would lock the toolbox on me. Ooh. And there were times I would go out to go get a tool, and I'm like,
oh, that's a good lesson.
Yeah.
That's a good lesson. Yeah.
So
I can definitely appreciate
hopefully that really answered your question.
Yes, that's Nicholas.
Yes, thank you so much.
And then Tesla 54 Joe, should I sell Lexus and just drive the Tesla instead of having two cars? It's just myself driving the car.
You know,
that's tough.
That's a tough call. First of all, thank you for your second super chat. I appreciate that, Tesla 54. I would say, you know what? That's a tough question. That's tough. I would probably, if it's just you, I would get rid of the Lexus.
I mean, yeah, if you're not driving it and enjoying it.
Yeah, if it's just sitting there.
If you're spending the time enjoying it on the weekends, no. Yeah. But if it's just kind of starting to, you know what, this is taking up a little more space than enjoyment, then it's time to let it go.
Because it's not good to let cars sit very long.
Right.
You got to get the juices flowing. And that was another thing I learned from my dad. The oil is the blood of the engine, and you got to make sure it's chained properly, and you got to make sure the engine runs.
That's right. Yep, that's right. And then another super chat.
David, thank you, David. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your super chat and generosity.
My condolences to the Raiti family. Next week, when I drive a Porsche 911, I'll go on throttle in your dad's.
My dad would love that, because there was a Porsche 911 that he owned before I was born. It was a 67 911. That he really loved. He loved that.
I believe it. Yeah, I absolutely believe it. Thank you. And then Andre Jackson says, Zonk to Nissan for coming out with the Nismo a year late on throttle for your pops.
Yes, thank you, Andre. And I'm assuming that you're talking about the Armada Nismo. That is a car that was SUV that was released today. It's going to be interesting to drive once I get behind the wheel.
Yeah.
The thing I think a lot of people are forgetting is that, yes, a stock Armada has 425 horsepower because that's not on premium fuel. The QX80, the Infiniti QX80 has 450 horsepower. So technically the Armada the Armada Nismo has 10 more horsepower than the QX80. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah, it will be.
But thank you for your super chat.
And then Emily has a super chat. Thank you, Emily. Joe, what are your thoughts on the Urus SE?
I'm actually quite fascinated with it. I actually, Emily, and I actually was going to do this just for you. I have a Urus review coming, so stay tuned for that.
And then CDA Living, thank you for the super chat. He says, or she says, condolences from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I guess you don't say it like that. It's probably Coeur d'Alene. Coeur d'Alene.
She knows French.
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I love your videos and looking forward to many more years of the same. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate.
Idaho.
Yes, thank you so much for that. It's very, very generous of you.
And then another super chat for Emily. And Joe, your comment on the MB300 SL.
I think it is a awesome Mercedes-Benz product, and definitely want to bring more of that footage of that car.
Absolutely. Joe Dirt. Thank you, Joe. Sorry to hear about your father. I enjoy your videos and reviews so much.
Thank you, Joe. That really means a lot. Everybody, I'm looking as the comments are going through, and thankfully Jacob is really on his A game. I'm looking over, and it's really nice to see all the condolences and all the kind words. It's just one of those things. Like I said, I didn't, even though you guys are with me every single day when we post reviews, it's one of those things that I wanted to do something special. I didn't want to do like a video review of my dad passing away. That kind of is weird to me.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to do something a little bit more personal, where it's actually coming from us.
And and me,
hey guys, was thinking, my dad passed away.
That would be just really
that's weird. But there's people out there that do that. I know there's people out there that do that.
There are people that do that.
It's weird.
Well, and I was just thinking when we were when Joe and I were talking about it, that I feel like a lot of you would want to hear some of these stories.
Yeah.
I just think they're fantastic.
Yeah. And another thing is my dad used to tell the best stories. Should I tell him the story about his friend Joey?
Oh, God.
Yes, we got to tell him the story.
Oh, boy.
So in New York, especially during the 70s, there was a lot of mafia stuff happening, especially, in Bensonhurst and when it came to being Italian. And my dad had a friend named Joey who was younger than him. And unfortunately, Joey was a car thief. Joey was a car thief. He would steal cars and he would strip them. That's what he would do.
That happened a lot.
Happens a lot. Yes.
In Brooklyn.
Yes.
I mean, that's just.
What had happened was he stole a Porsche 930. If you don't know what that is the official name for what people call the 911 Turbo.
Okay.
My dad got a call from somebody that he knew saying, listen, Sal, you need to talk to Joey. He stole a car from somebody that he shouldn't have.
Ooh.
And that person that he stole it from is very upset. And he wants the car back and he wants an apology. And that was the thing, was he wanted not only his car back, he wanted an apology for stealing his car. Oh, so Joey said, listen, he told my dad, he said, Sal, I'll give him the car back, but I ain't apologizing. Well, guess what? Joey disappeared. And I remember my dad telling me that story when I was young about how if you do something and it upsets the wrong person, you got to do what's right.
Yeah, I remember your dad was a big stickler on
yes, you got to do what's right.
My goodness.
Yes.
That is quite a story. We do have some super chats I wanted to catch up on.
Anthony Baez again.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony. Do you think the Corolla will be redesigned?
I think, Anthony, the Corolla will be redesigned next year. I think right now with the RAV4 and some of the other things that Toyota's working on, that's where you'll have the rewind coming.
Thank you.
Redesign.
Tesla 54, thank you for the
Thank you
chat.
again.
Joe, I'm moving back to upstate New York near Catskill, so a lot of snow. You think it would be okay to do a Tesla Model 3 Performance driving in snow?
Yes. The things with electric vehicles, they're totally sealed. My only concern, to be honest with you, would be the life of the battery, would be the how long the battery lasts, because there has been evidence that shows in colder weather the battery charge goes down.
That makes sense.
Yes.
And then Suthius, thank you, Suthius. Hey guys, hope y'all are doing good. Just got back from our Florida trip, and yeah, it is a tad bit.
It is very warm. Yes,
down
it is very warm. That's why sometimes people who don't really know me know where that.
Like, why are you sweating?
And why am I wearing shorts?
Why are you always sweating?
It's hot, man.
That's how they talk through when I'm reading it. That's what it sounds like. But anyway, Suthius' late father is who got him into SUVs.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really nice.
And I know a lot of people are sharing their stories about their parents.
That's really nice. It's
I
nice
lost
to
my
see
father
that.
like over 20 years ago.
And he was very young. He wasn't 84 like my dad.
It's so
it is.
And like
I'll be honest, I have probably thought about him more since he's passed than the last 2 years of his life.
Yeah. We know how you feel.
Yeah.
And so thank you guys for these super chats. And I see some other comments here that I want to come back to, but I just want to catch up on a couple more super chats. Emily also wants to know the AMG 1.
I think that is probably one of the ultimate supercars right now, Emily. And I don't think anybody right now has plans to top it. It'll be interesting to see if the new Ferrari will be able to top that with their supercar.
Yeah. And then Stanley, thank you so much.
Thank you, Stanley.
Bless and comfort you both.
Thank you very
so much,
much,
Stanley. And then Abdullah Al-Maman, I'm sorry about your loss. My father is in a 9-year
my
coma,
God.
so I don't really have
Yeah.
a gearhead go-to. So I use your advice. Perfect. And I'm a 22-year-old father. I go RS3 or CLA 45S for performance and complement Acadia.
I would say go RS3. The Audi RS3 is such a unique car, especially with its inline 5 turbocharged engine and all-wheel drive.
Yep.
It is a blast to drive.
Yeah, and somebody said Joe is the car father. I would agree
That's
with
nice.
that.
That's
a
very
good one. I like
very
that.
nice of you. Yes. Hey,
I'm gonna call him that from
hey,
now on.
madam.
And then Tesla 5, thank you as well.
Yes.
Joe, I'm gonna lease a Tesla for
Tesla
3 years.
54.
So batteries under 54. Batteries under warranty, so he should be okay, you think?
You know what? The battery will be fine. My thing is that if you charge it to 100%,
right.
And I don't know if you're going to be keeping it in a garage, if you're going to be keeping it outside. If the car sits outside for a long time,
right.
The coldness can drain the battery.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So ideally,
but you'll be fine. The battery will be fine. I mean,
yeah. And especially if
should be in a garage.
Yeah. But I wanted to go back up because there were some other super chats. Dan Mulroney wanted to know if you can review a 26 Camry XLE in dark Cosmos.
As soon as it hits, I will be bringing it to you, Dan. I promise you that. And I promise to all of you, we are going to be making up for some of the events that we missed, and we're going to be hitting some of these vehicles like the RAV4 and the ZR1X and all that when we go to the next auto show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Alex wants to know your opinion on if Chevrolet has decided why they decided to end production on Citadel.
I guess the problem is they're just not selling. I mean, if you look at the Chevy Malibu, which I did a Malibu review not too long ago, most Malibus get sold to rental car agencies.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy Contreras wants to know, what do you think of the TLX Type S?
Love it. It's a great car, Jimmy. For the price, that's another one that I think of people just underappreciate. If you look at the price of what you're getting compared to an Audi S4 or a BMW, the Acura TLX Type S is a really nice car. All-wheel drive.
And then Cole Dunson wants to know, should he get a Yukon, a Rivian, or a Tahoe? Don't think about the gas electric.
I love the Yukon. I love the Yukon. I love the infotainment system. 15-inch, nicely integrated. I love the style of the Yukon.
You just go Tahoe and
no, because I like, here, put it this way. I like the Tahoe. I love the Yukon.
Okay. Makes sense.
I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
They want my honest opinion.
I really like the Tahoe, but I could see the Yukon and I don't.
Here's another funny thing about my father. My father had a lot of friends with unique names growing up.
He did have oh my God.
So some of his friends were Stevie Pieface.
Yep.
Joey the Painter.
Yep.
Jimmy the Neck.
Mm-hmm.
Nicky Boots.
Nicky Boots.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was a big Sal.
He was Big Sal.
Even though he was only about 5'9".
Yeah,
maybe,
5'8". And then there was Little Sal.
So he must have been really small.
So yeah, so there's very interesting. My dad had a very colorful past.
And then Christian wants to know, what do you think about the Kia K5 GT with a GT1 package?
I think that you should jump on it. I'm afraid to see what Kia is going to do next, if they're going to get rid of the 2.5 liter turbocharged engine in it. That for the money, it brings a nice driving experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then TRD Ref4 is going to watch Goodfellas now. I tell you, every time I go over to his phone. So you guys may or may not know this. Yes. Whenever Joe and I met, he kind of warned me that he had a big Italian family. I grew up in St. Louis. My family's very small, stereotypical Midwest family. And he was like, listen, it's going to be loud. And we're going to sound like we're yelling.
Yep.
But nobody's mad at one another.
Yep.
And sure enough, that actually happened. And I was like, oh my God, like his brothers, they were all like screaming at each other. And then they started laughing. And I was like, oh my God.
We got another super chat.
Oh, nice. Paul.
Pavel.
Yes. Thank you, Pavel. What would you choose, the new Navigator or the Escalade?
Easy, the Escalade. I love the interior of the Escalade. I love the style of the Escalade. And I prefer the V8 over the EcoBoost twin turbocharged engine.
Yeah.
In the Navigator.
Yeah. And then thank you so much, Chase, for the super chat as well. Hey, Joe, sorry to hear about your dad. Raity's Rides family is the best.
Thank you.
If you ever had a dream review when you could not believe you got to film it.
Definitely. There's been a lot of them. I think probably one that stands out in my mind in many different ways is doing the review of the 911 GT3 RS.
Yeah.
being on the track with Georg Bergmeister and also Patrick Long.
Was that at
that was at Thermal Club. And being able to just go as fast as I wanted to.
That was insane.
Insane. And we went pretty fast.
Or what about when we went to Willow Springs in the GT4 RS?
GT4, I like the GT3 experience
cool.
a little bit better.
That was
especially
really
when it came to hotel.
Yeah. I also remember the first time you reviewed a McLaren. That was
McLaren was special. To be honest,
it's like the first time you did any
of
the big
Well,
cars.
To be honest with you, if anybody asks what has been the most special thing since we started the channel, easily, hands down, without a doubt in my mind, 2019.
Yeah.
We got to go to the Indy Grand Prix, which is on the road course, held in the month of May.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did we get to go there on my birthday weekend, but I got to ride in the Honda 2-seat Indy car driven by Mario Andretti after I interviewed Mario Andretti. And we got to lead the cars out onto the track for the warm-up lap. And I got to talk to Lee Diffie while I was being driven by Mario Andretti.
It was unbelievable. It was unreal. And we got to walk out with Mario. It was like
being rock stars. It was like walking out with Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
Or Michael Jackson or something.
I mean, he's a car.
He's a god. He's a god.
And he's just
what's awesome about Mario Andretti is, as we were walking up pit road to go to the front of the pack, he stopped and took pictures with people, signed autographs. No problem.
It was
no problem.
It was crazy.
And here's a little side note. One thing that I found out after my father passed away was there was a picture that I sent him of Mario Andretti and I, and he actually had that picture as his background wallpaper.
He would go and show.
He would show people any store he went to. He would show people, and he would always tell them, if they didn't know who Mario Andretti was, what the hell's wrong with them?
What the hell's wrong with you? And you know he said it too.
Yes.
I don't know who that is. What the hell's wrong with you? Oh yes, Bow Hunters.
Thank you for that generosity, Bow Hunters.
So nice. Hey, Joe and Lori. Joe, sad to hear about your father passing away. I lost my father at the very young age of 10. That's
terrible. Yeah, that's terrible.
Young. I'm so sorry to hear that. So I'd say for people that have your parents in your life for so many years, be thankful for that.
That is very true.
Absolutely right.
That is very true. At the time, when you're growing up, you're like, oh, this kind of sucks or whatnot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but as you get older, I mean, you those people that do get to have their parents for so long are actually pretty lucky.
Very lucky. I thought this was funny. Flubber Lane. Brady likes those Dodge Vipers.
Brady does like those.
I do love those Dodge, and so did my dad. I remember when they first came out with the Dodge Viper, and your dad. A lot of the reasons why, because my dad always wanted a 427 Cobra. Obviously, was never able to buy one.
Right.
And when they came out with the Viper, he just was blown away. But he had 6 kids, and there was no way in hell he was going to be able to get a Viper.
No,
that's for sure.
That ship sailed.
Yeah, that ship sailed.
After I think kid number 3, maybe.
Yeah.
Emily has another super chat. She wants to know your thoughts on the Aston Martin DB4.
I actually think it's really nice. I prefer the Valkyrie myself, but the DB4 is great as well. That's for sure. But I like the Valkyrie.
Yeah. And then Jared, thank you so much, Jared. We're all with you guys. Been debating on mini cars under 40K.
Okay.
STI, Evo X.
Evo 10.
Okay, Evo 10. S55 GT, 550 GT.
Yep.
I'm trying to
Mustang,
read fast.
you're doing good.
Focus RS, New Z, older M3. Which do you like best?
Stylus
NA.
I would say, Jared, first of all, thank you for your super chat. I would say in this order. Ooh, this is tough. I would say STI, S550 GT, Evo 10, Focus RS, and just leave it at that. I wouldn't even consider an older M3 because.
What about the New Z? Where does that fit in? Kind of.
Yeah, but for 40 grand, he's going to have to get a sport. I would say slide the Z in between the GT and the Evo 10. I just think the S550 GT Mustang GT brings a lot of performance.
Okay.
I like the style of the S550 better.
Well, you are
than the new one. That's right. You're such a funny person. What else we got?
Well, we're caught up, I think, on.
Oh wait, we got
Super
good.
Chats.
Yeah, we are caught up on super chats, and we almost had 300 people here tonight, which is my dad right now would be, I'm sure, is looking down and is very, very happy to see everybody be part of this and be able to share some of these stories. Good question by Jake. He says, "Will there be a redesigned Honda Ridgeline?" I sure hope so. They've redesigned pretty much everything else, and if they make it cool, like a Passport, the new Passport, they may have a hit on their hands.
And then Dan wants to know which car does Oscar or Frankie like to ride in best?
Actually, they both like to ride in Mommy's Bronco. Mommy has a Bronco Wild Track, and she is a badass. So
Frankie loves it, actually.
Yes,
I don't even know if I got a chance to tell you that, because Frankie's still pretty new and we're still learning what he likes and doesn't like, but he loves it.
LM, thank you for the super chat. If there's something specific that you have to say,
just throw it down in the comments, and either Jacob or we will catch it. Thank you again, Jacob, for holding down the fort.
Yeah.
But just a lot of really great
comments very good
here.
suggestion.
Oscar's saying
LM says really love Raity's ride. Thank you, LM.
Yeah.
And thank you for the super chat.
Well, and then Oscar, says that your dad's car passion became your passion, and now you get to share it with your followers. And thanks for keeping the flame alive.
And it's funny because I have two younger brothers, and neither of them are really. I mean, they like cars, but they're not into cars, and they pretty much know just enough to get themselves into major trouble.
Yeah, I know.
And that's another thing is, being a kid, I used to go to work with my dad every Saturday. One thing that I remember is we would always, we would leave a little extra early, which we would leave at 6 a.m.
That's early.
Which, especially for when you're 10 years old, you want to stay home and watch Saturday cartoons. You don't want to go get up. But what we used to do is we always used to go to Denny's, and he would get me a Grand Slam breakfast. And that was always something special that I look forward to. Yes.
That's so
and I remember I never really liked the sausage links.
Yeah, no.
So I always used to get they used to let me get 4 bacon.
Ooh, yes.
Yes.
Let's see. Venustiano.
Good luck on that. Yes.
Carranza.
Yep.
Joe, would you buy the 26 Prelude?
You know what? The Prelude's looking pretty good. And if you stay tuned in the next few months, we will be getting our hands on it. So I'm going to wait until I get all the info before I just say, oh, I'm going to buy it. But based off looks, she's looking good. I know. I already said LM.
Oh, yeah, you did.
I already said that.
Thank you. Thank you again,
Yes.
LM. That's really nice. I was waiting for you to ask a question. Oh, wait.
Is there another LM?
No, I don't know.
No.
I don't know what that is. I'm trying to read and talk at the same time.
It's very
I'm
tough.
Not very good
it's
at this.
very tough to read. And that's why we have Jacob here. So thank you again, Jacob, for your awesome support and to holding down the fort.
Infinity QX80 wants to know which one, MDX or Santa Fe? I don't know. Which would you get?
I'm going MDX. I have had not good experiences with the Santa Fe.
Okay.
So,
That's
and fair. I know other people who have not had good experiences with the Santa Fe.
That's fair.
MDX is pretty much bulletproof.
What about, this is a good one from Camarones. Big fan, watching you for a while.
Sure.
What 3-row SUV would you own? I know what I would.
CX-90.
Oh my God, I was going to say that.
That's why we're married. CX-90.
Yes, in a heartbeat.
Yes.
I mean,
I also like the Lexus GX 550.
Yes.
And so do you.
Yes, that's a very nice.
That's another one.
But I don't love the 3rd row. I love the vehicle.
Yes.
But I don't necessarily.
That's true.
Love
yes,
the 3rd
that
row.
is true.
Yeah.
I even like the Toyota Grand Highlander.
The Toyota Grand
You
Highlander.
enjoyed that.
We actually had that as a press vehicle. That
Not
is
too
a
long ago,
really
yes.
nice vehicle to drive.
Yes.
Really nice.
And lots of space.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's just very easy.
Yes.
Like, you don't have to think about it.
Yes.
You just get in and you go. And
Here's
it's
another.
Like everything is where it's supposed to be.
Rob Jacobs has a question. He says, Joe, if you had to choose Ranger Raptor or Colorado ZR2 Bison, I'm going Ranger Raptor. I really think that is the best mid-size performance truck for the money. I mean, when you could get one of those for under 60, but a freaking Toyota TRD Pro Tacoma costs $67,000. What's going on here?
Yeah.
What's going on?
And then,
Jack has a question. Jack Bernard, GR86 or BRZ. With the current generation, I'm going GR86.
Yeah.
I love the
I know
look
you
of it.
are.
I love the look of it.
You
Fun
set the
car to
bar.
drive, man.
Here's a question from Diecast Car World. In your opinion, what's better, the Ford Bronco base or a Jeep Wrangler base?
I'm going Ford Bronco base, and the reason why is the independent suspension. Jeeps, Wranglers, they don't ride well. They ride like a truck.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, like a lot of the body pieces on the Jeeps, they fade so fast. Like the black fenders fade, the bumpers fade, the little tie downs for the hood fade.
Right.
And that kind of bothers me. I mean, I still like them, but I would go Bronco. Yeah. And I'm not just saying that because she owns a Bronco. That's what I would go put my money on.
Well, and technically we own the Bronco. And so if
but that's your baby.
Yeah, that is true.
Yes.
There's quite a few more questions here. I'm going to see if I can scroll up a little bit. Well, Bruce is going to get some Denny's hash browns.
Yes.
I don't blame him. Let's see. Prediction on the 2026 Pathfinder. Maggie's driving the 24.
Okay. I'm thinking that it's going to be a slight refresh. What I'm hoping what will happen is Nissan will just leave what they have alone and bring out the Xterra.
Right.
I feel like the Xterra needs to happen. A nice value-packed off-roading SUV to go up against Broncos, to go up against some of this other junk that's out there and do that. I would have done that instead of redesign the Murano.
And the Murano is nice.
I know, but they're not selling.
I know. It's sad. I feel, I like it.
Yeah,
it's a nice
I know.
Vehicle.
It does drive nice. I mean,
let's see.
Massage seats, 50,000.
Yeah. Good question. And then would you choose a Wagoneer or an Escalade?
Escalade. V8. It's got the panache. It holds its value better. I think another one came in at the bottom.
Just making sure I didn't
Thank
miss
you.
any
Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. Emily, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you, Emily.
What are your thoughts on the Lancia Fulvia Coupe?
I'm not a big fan of it. I think, for that kind of money that you would have to lay out, I would go something else.
Okay. And then Tesla 54, thank you for the super chat again. Joe, Tesla wants $8K down on a 3-year lease and payment in the high 500s. What are your thoughts on that?
It's average. It's average. Depending on different cars. I mean, if you wanted to do something crazy and go get yourself a Dodge Charger Daytona, if you're into an EV, you could lease one for $299.
Yeah, I'd say shop around. I mean, for me,
people
ask questions about is this lease payment good?
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about what's your budget and your income than is this.
And what do you have to pay at the beginning of the lease and at the end of the lease?
Right. Yeah.
A lot of people forget that.
That's absolutely true. And then let's see here.
How about this Cobra Sanchez?
What do you think?
Cobra Sanchez says C8 Z06 or 2020 GT500. It's a tough one, man.
Whichever you pick, he's taken out tonight on throttle on over your dad.
If you're doing that, I would say go GT500.
Yeah.
My dad was a big Shelby guy.
I don't think you can go wrong either way.
Yeah, you can't.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then
thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thanks, Cobra Sanchez. And then Sabiel wants to know, are you guys coming to Detroit next year for the auto show?
Definitely. And I hope and that's our friend that always brings the Hot Wheels.
Thanks, Sabiel.
Yes,
we will absolutely be there.
Yes.
And then one question for you. Second gen dually trucks are way better than the Ford Power Stroke ? And the Ram TRX way better than the original 1500?
I would say yes and yes.
Yes and yes.
Yes and yes.
That's good. I think a super chat just came in. Crazy Shady from Canada. Will the 26 Accord get a slight facelift?
That's a good question. I don't think it will. And the reason why I say that is that they're selling well what they have now, and they still got to work on that ridgeline. They got to work on that ridgeline.
Right.
Something needs to happen with that ridgeline.
Yeah.
So if they do, I don't think they will, because it's only been 2 years. I don't think they're going to do it after 2 years.
Yeah.
Especially since Toyota Corolla isn't new yet.
That's a good point.
I mean, not Corolla, Camry. I mean, they redesigned the Camry, but the Honda still has like 12.3-inch screen. It's got stuff in it.
Great question from Dennis. Thank you, Dennis. Any memories, Joe, of watching car shows in the 80s with your dad?
Oh, God. Jeez. Listen, for 100%, Knight Rider, A-Team, Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
I hear this story all the time.
There is one story, and it involves my mother when it comes to Dukes of Hazzard. So back in the day, guess what? All the younger people that are watching,
they're not going to believe you.
We didn't have DVRs.
Yeah,
we had VCRs, but there were no DVRs.
No.
And if you missed your show,
well, this was even
there was no
VCRs.
rerun.
Yeah.
No, there's VCRs.
No, there weren't. Not when we were like 7 and Dukes of Hazzard.
Maybe not in Illinois. VCRs were expensive. My dad we had a VCR. It was $1,100.
Okay, anyway, go on. That is expensive.
It was one of those top loader ones. We were rich.
Yes,
because it was just me.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, until they had all these other
kids came along, they had to sell it.
So every Friday I would watch Dukes of Hazzard. There was one Dukes of Hazzard where I wasn't feeling well that day. And my mom said, Joseph, why don't you go take a quick nap?
Ah, yes.
And I'll wake you up at 8 o'clock to watch Dukes of Hazzard. So I said, okay, I'll go do that. I go to sleep. I wake up and guess what? It's not dark. It's sunny out.
Oh my God.
And I look down, I'm wearing the same clothes I was wearing the day before.
What happened?
My mom never woke me up. She came into the room and she said that I looked so peaceful sleeping, she didn't want to wake me up. And I missed Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh my
And to
God.
this day, I don't even know what the hell happened.
I bet you I had to stop watching the show after that.
Well, no, I didn't do that. But another thing that, besides the shows that my dad was very influential with were movies. I'll never forget the time when I first watched Bullet with him.
Oh, yeah.
The movie Bullet. I maybe was 10 years old, so I didn't even understand what the hell was going on in the movie. But what I did understand is that car chase between, McQueen in the Bullet Mustang, or I should say the Mustang because it wasn't called a Bullet Mustang, in the Mustang, and then of course the bad guys in the Charger.
Oh yes, the bad guys. Wasn't the Charger a black Charger? I think it
was. It was either black or white, if I remember correctly. I'm gonna have to watch that again. I think you're right. I think it is black.
Do we own that?
We do own that.
Yeah, we gotta watch it again.
We got another super chat.
Oh, nice. Born again motor.
Thank you for your generosity.
So sorry for your loss. Lost my dad a year ago too. What are your thoughts on the afterlife? Wow.
Wow, that's pretty deep.
Well, we've got 2 minutes left.
Oh, I can sum that up in 2 minutes?
Can you sum that up in 2 minutes?
That's a tough one.
I think we might have to save that for the next. Let's save that one for the next. We'll start the next live Q&A with that.
That's a very tough question.
I do think that's a very
it's a good question, but that's something that you have to go. So we would need to spend an hour just on that question.
Well, we probably wouldn't ever get anywhere. We just
probably
be talking in circles.
Lamar Howell, thank you for that super chat.
Yes.
If you have anything in particular you want to say, Lamar, type it, and I'm sure Jacob will scoop it up and allow us to see it. Hopefully, we saw everybody's super chat. I think we did a pretty good job.
And I also just want to take a second to acknowledge there have been so many of you, like Tom, who've mentioned your parents passing or a loved one passing away as well. And I just want to take a second to acknowledge everybody that has been here.
Yes,
that, because it's difficult.
It happens to everybody, unfortunately, and it's unfortunately a part of life, and it's never pleasant. I mean, the one thing I could say is that my father was not in pain when he passed away.
That is wonderful.
And he had family around him. Yeah. I don't know how else better you could go. I don't know. I don't know. So it's one of those things that it's tough. It's tough.
And I want to say thank you to Lamar for the super
and
chat.
Phil
for
again.
The super
thank
chat.
you.
I'm keeping an eye.
We're keeping an eye in the comment section.
Seeing any comments. So thank you very much for sending.
Dan, our next live Q&A we'll try to fit one in at the end of July.
Yeah. We'll do our best.
Yes. It's just been really crazy with my father passing. And the good news is we're going to be home for a little while.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be able to fit that, to make time to have that.
Yeah. And Maggie's father was only 58 when he passed.
Yeah.
Maggie, my dad was only 52 when he passed
52.
away. So
wow, really? I thought he was 59. Wow, 52.
No, it was 52. Wow. It was really. My sister's 52, and so it's.
I don't think she wanted you to tell.
I just said a bad word. Are we gonna get zonked?
We got zonked.
Oh no!
YouTube police are gonna come and arrest you.
I said shoot.
Yeah.
I said shoot.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Well, speaking of that, ending on that note.
Yeah, ending on that note, her sister's 52.
Yeah.
Hey, Kelly. And no, she's not single.
Kelly
she is married.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Your mom was here watching.
Oh,
I don't
I
know
hope
if she's
she's not still here.
Yeah, I think she might still be.
But she's laughing
Yeah.
really hard now.
Yeah. But
Well,
thank you, everybody, for making this a special night,
yeah,
a special
it's very
occasion.
meaningful.
I appreciate all the kind words. I appreciate almost the 300 people that showed up tonight. All of the super chats. Your generosity is just endless, and it really comes at a good time because there's a lot of things that we're having to take care of, especially with my mom and helping her out and everything else. But there's Kathy. She just put a bit your mom. But we love each and every one of you, and we will do this again very soon.
Yes, we will.
So stay tuned, and I hope everybody has a good 4th of July.
Yeah, stay safe.
Stay
and
safe during 4th of July.
We'll see you guys on YouTube, and just like always,
we'll see you on the next ride. Bye, guys.
Bye, Mom.
Love you guys.
Bye, guys. Thanks for everything.